So the video I did on Jerusalem has just turned out to be a lot more popular than I expected, and I've been getting messages from people who want to know just a little bit more. So this week I'm doing a short version of the 1% Traveler, just focusing on the Temple Mount. So the first question is, why is there a mosque on top of the Temple Mount? The mosque on top of the Temple Mount was built after the Muslim invasion of Jerusalem. It was a Jewish city, then after the Romans, it became a Roman city that converted to being a Christian city, and then in the 600s, the Muslims conquered the city and took over the holy sites and built the Dome of the Rock Mosque. It's one of the oldest and best examples of Islamic architecture. You've heard your whole life about the Dome of the Rock Mosque. What's the rock? I bet you don't know. What is the Dome of the Rock? Well, it is a mosque that sits over a very literal rock, and that rock is very important because in Jewish tradition, it's the rock where Abraham sacrificed or attempted to sacrifice Isaac. In Muslim tradition, it's also the rock that Muhammad ascended to heaven from, and in some people's minds, it's also the place where the temple's most holy place was located. Now, the architecture of the Dome of the Rock is interesting in itself because it is a classic Islamic structure, but what most people don't know is it's actually copied off Byzantine Christian churches that were in the area at the time, and those churches themselves, well, the domes, they came from Roman architecture, my favorite building of all in Rome, the Pantheon. So it's one culture talking to another culture to another all throughout the region and history. So when you look at Jerusalem and you see that beautiful mosque on top of Temple Mount, what you're seeing is a Muslim structure built by Christians after a pagan Roman design on top of the Jewish Temple Mount. And maybe a symbol of the history of Jerusalem sort of in one little spot. And not always a happy history, but certainly always interesting. So the final mystery that we're going to deal with is Christ's failed prophecy. You see, Jesus looked over the city of Jerusalem and he made a prediction. He said that the temple would be so thoroughly destroyed that not even one stone would be left upon another. And yet, one of the most famous things in Jerusalem is the Western Wall, where people come to pray. So the question that I had was, how could Christ's prophecy be correct, and yet the wall still exists? Well, the answer to that is very simple. The Western Wall is not the wall of the temple. It is just the retaining wall for the plateau on which the temple sat. The temple itself was so thoroughly destroyed that even today, we don't know exactly where it was, hence the debates. So before we go, just one other thing. People ask, when will the third temple be built? The first one was destroyed by the Babylonians, the second one by the Romans. When are they going to build the third one? Well, the answer to that is complex, because to build the third temple, you have to knock down the mosques, and that would result in World War III. And secondly, because we don't know exactly where the temple is, some people feel you can't build a temple unless it's exactly in the right spot, and so they're opposed to it too. And yet there's a third group who say sooner or later it's gonna be built. Well, we'll see if that happens in my lifetime, but we'll keep an eye out for it. And in the interim, I hope you get to Jerusalem. I hope that you get up the Temple Mount, and I hope that you feel the wonder and the majesty and the mystery that lies on that incredibly important area of our world. Hey, thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe below because we have tons of great travel videos coming your way.